Synthetic division from section 3 is a way to simply do long division of a polynomial. What we're going to do is going to focus on the coefficients of the problem, and it's going to focus on the zero of the problem in order to do the long division. And what you used yesterday may be 7, 8 lines, and you changed signs and you did subtraction and multiplying. We're going to do in 3 lines and write the answer. Okay? So let me show you kind of what we're going to start with. First it says reverse the sign of the constant term in the divisor. So I want you to circle the divisor down here. And right now it says x plus 1. And I want you to think with me, if x plus 1 equals 0 and you solve that, what would x equal? -1. And so when it says reverse the sign of the constant term in the divisor, that's what that means. Then it says write down the coefficients of the polynomial in standard form. Now remembering as we're looking towards our quiz, standard form, remember, is the cube first, and then the square, and then the x, and then the constant. And by the way, that was the cubic, the quadratic, the linear, and the constant, right? And so let's write down the coefficients of our problem. The coefficient of x cubed is a 1. The coefficient of 4x squared is a 4. The coefficient of x is a 1. And the coefficient of -6 is a -6. If there was a missing term, if x squared was missing, Simon, we would stick a 0 in there as a placeholder. For example, if I said to write down the number 107, you would never write this. We would stick in 107 because the 0 is critical. With synthetic division, putting in zeros for missing placeholders is critical. In the same way, if I said to write down the number 70, you would never write down 7. You would have 0 as a placeholder because that makes the 7 become 70. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to go off to the left and we're going to do a little half box like that, and we're going to put that -1 value from over here. We're going to put that -1 value in that little half box. And now we're going to do the process of synthetic division. Draw a line right there. Bring down the first term, 1, and multiply. What's -1 times 1? Put that -1 right there. That is the entire first step. Now let's do it again. Add 4 plus -1. 3. Put the 3 down there. Multiply the red -1 times the 3, and you get -3. What do we think to do next? Add. 1 plus -3 is -2. Multiply -1 times -2. 2. Put a little line here. What's -6 plus 2? -4. And we're done. So let me write the answers. If these were the coefficients of x cubed, x squared, x, and the constant, these are the coefficients of x squared, x, and the constant. And so my answer is 1x squared plus 3x minus 2, and then my remainder is a -4. So I would say minus 4 over x plus 1. And we just did a long division problem in 3 lines.
That was quite simple.
Isn't that amazing? Good morning, Ms. Stevens. Ooh. How many calculators do we need today? Does anyone need to borrow a calculator? 1.
Ooh, me too.
Cell phone. Thank you. You bet. All right, now let me show you how we can check this just to make sure it works. if we put the number -1 into the problem, in other words, find f of -1 into the original problem. The original problem is x cubed plus 4x squared plus x minus 6. So we would say -1 cubed plus 4 times -1 squared plus -1 minus 6. And if that value gets us -4, that tells us that we solved it correctly. So this is our check. So what's -1 cubed, everybody? -1. And -1 squared is 1 times 4 is 4 plus -1 minus 6. So -1 plus 4 is 3, minus 1 is 2, minus 6 is -4. So did the value of -1 give us -4? Yeah, it did. And what was that up above? Our remainder. So that's our check. So it's just a way that you can always check synthetic division if you want to. Make sense? Now, do you want to see how to check it on the calculator? Maybe we can go over that later, or do you want to do that now? Which would you prefer? Later? Okay, we'll do that later. All right, let's practice synthetic division again on this second one. First of all, are there any missing terms? Is there an x cubed? Is there an x squared? Is there an x? Is there a constant? So no missing terms. So let's write down the coefficients. 1, -2, -5, and 6. Raise your hand if you can tell me what goes in the little box to the left. What's the number that goes in the little box to the left?
-2.
Noah? -2? Why?
It's like the opposite.
Okay, it's the opposite of x plus 2. So put a -2 out there. If you forget why that is, set x plus 2 equals 0 and solve for x.